Noah Lyles is the reigning Olympic gold medalist in the 100-meter dash, and depending on who you ask, including him, that makes him the fastest man in the world. Whether or not you like it, the 100-meter dash is, for the most part, the gold standard of speed, but it is also a track and field event. And apparently, Noah wants to be much more than a track and field athlete. He said it himself more than once. And that is the only logical reason I can come up with why he's even entertaining Tyreek Hill when he challenges him to a foot race. The internet has been talking about this race for quite a while now, and it's actually been so long that I'm pretty sure most people are wondering if it is ever actually going to happen. Well, NBC Sports put out an article on February 19th to let us know that apparently the race is actually going to go down. Noah Lyles has also gone on record to say that he is very aware that the track and field community is in no way unified on whether or not he should be doing this race. I am in the camp that doesn't believe it is a good idea. Allow me to make that very clear. But I'm not just saying it because I have an opinion. Yes, it is my opinion, but I also have an informed one. So let's have a very real conversation, a brutally honest one, about Noah Lyles and Tyreek Hill and everything that comes with sprinting, track and field gimmicks, and everything else that people think they need to do in order to promote the sport. Because I'm pretty sure that we can all agree that people like to watch the Olympics, specifically the sprinting events, but track and field during the rest of the calendar, for the other 3.5 years or so, doesn't get much of any media coverage. And the real question is, how do we change it? Because Noah Lyles has his opinion on what we need to do, and he's taking action on it. I can't really fault him for that. But remember, there's likely going to be some unintended consequences on the back end of this, so let's talk about it. Allow me to be very clear. I originally had no intentions at all to make this video. I'm talking about earlier this morning. It was not on my radar. But when NBC put out their article, I actually read it. And line for line, my brain started spinning as I looked at the reasons why Noah Lyles says he wants to do this. That is what I want to focus on. But before I get there, I do need to clarify that I see this moment, the Tyreek Hill Noah Lyles race, I basically see it as a gimmick. You can tell me if you don't think that's what it is in the comments. But as far as I'm concerned, when a sprinting athlete races somebody who is not a sprinter, and I know Tyreek Hill was a sprinter, and he was actually really, really good back when he was in high school and even to some degree at the college level. But that was then. This is now, like a decade into his NFL career, so I ain't buying it anymore. Because we actually know how fast he is right now on a track. He ran a USATF Masters event in the 60-meter dash, and he only ran 6.72 seconds. I'm pretty sure he could go faster if he kept on training, but that is a far cry from Noah Lyles and what he's been doing in the 60. Because remember, he is the World Championship silver medalist in that event and went 6.43 seconds to do it. That puts him inside the top 10 of all the men to ever do it in that event. So when Noah Lyles goes on record to say in the article that he is not here to play around when it comes to racing Tyreek Hill, my first thought is that is exactly what I thought we were doing. Because if you are the Olympic gold medalist in the 100-meter dash, and I already told you about what he did in the 60, anytime you race somebody who is not a professional sprinter, I would hope that all you really had to do was play around to win that race. I'm not saying that he doesn't have to run hard to win a race. That's just how sprinting goes. But if you're running in races that are not professional track races, then no, we shouldn't be taking it all that seriously. And I'm pretty sure that Tyreek Hill also knows this part. It's the reason why he doesn't want to race Noah in a legitimate track event. In the article, he says that Noah Lyles should be afraid of him in a 40-yard dash. That is not a track and field event. It's actually not a race at all. It's a timed test of speed that they do for football. They have to time it off of your first movement. They can't even do it off of reaction time because the distance is just so short where all those variables would depreciate the value of whatever clock we come back with. So no, you can't really race a 40-yard dash. He's just throwing it out there because he knows the further he moves away from track and field, the better he actually has a shot. If it's a actual track and field distance, like a 60 or 100 or anything in between, he ain't got no shot. He should know that by now, especially if they're going to race in the summer, which is what they claim they're going to set up. Because by that point, Noah Lyles is going to be very well in form. We're talking USA Championship form. The same man who just won the USA's last year and then went on to win the world. Tyreek Hill ain't beating him because nobody else can. And the article also tells us that Noah Lyles is motivated to bring more eyes to the sport of track and field beyond the Olympics. That does make sense. What doesn't make sense is trying to do it without running track and field. Remember, track and field is a sport, and we have professional events. Tyreek Hill did not decide to put his name into a hat to go out and compete in an actual track and field race. If he did, he wouldn't even be the first professional in recent years to do it from football. DK Metcalf got on the line at, I believe it was the Golden Games or some event USATF ran out in LA. Regardless, the man got dead last in that race. He ran fast, don't get me wrong. Just not fast enough to beat anybody who was actually on the line. And nobody who was running that 100 is a name that you might recognize. No shade, just being honest. Or at the very least, if you do know who any of them are, you are a very serious track and field fan. I am talking about the type of track and field fan that maybe has like a Flow Track subscription. And trust me, those things are not cheap, because I would know. I have read enough comments to know that some people do believe that you have to do something unique in order to put eyes on track and field. So allow me to fill you in on the history of all the gimmicks that we've tried. These are just a few of them, the ones that I was easily able to dig up, but I'm pretty sure there's more of them. And if you don't remember anything that I'm saying, that should tell you all you need to know about how well these gimmicks actually work. But if you're new here, I want to say thank you for even making it this far into the video. And I'm Coach Rob, the founder of SCArecruiting.com, where I rank the best track and field recruits across the entire nation. And if anything that I say actually connects with you, it is always greatly appreciated if you would please like and subscribe. But if I don't, just let me know in the comment section, because I try to read them all. If you go all the way back to 1937, Jesse Owens, who was the Olympic gold medalist in the 100-meter dash, raced a horse. Granted, he had a very big lead, but he did win the race. Nobody really talks about it. It's just a thing that happened all the way back then. And if we're going off the clock, then of course we know that the men who are running now are technically faster than what they were putting on the boards back then. For a lot of reasons, but hey, it is what it is. If you move all the way back to recent memory, Shawn Crawford, who was the Olympic gold medalist in the 200-meter dash back in 2004, he did a segment on television, I think it was called Man vs. Beast. And this wasn't a small thing, because even Carl Lewis was a part of the broadcast team. So they took it kind of seriously. Regardless, he went out there and he raced a giraffe. And that really wasn't very competitive. He goes out there and runs actually pretty slow. Nothing that would really go on the board as a competitive track and field time, even at the high school level, because it didn't really matter, because the giraffe wasn't fast. But then he goes out there with a zebra. They put the zebra on one side, put him on the other, and the zebra beat him. And no, it wasn't close. But if you want to know what elite sprinters actually look like when they race against non-sprinters, we can go figure that out as well. ABC did a show years ago called Shaq versus, yes, Shaquille O'Neal, like NBA Shaquille O'Neal. And he was still in the league at this moment. Regardless, Shaq was competing with Tyson Gay, who is the American record holder in the 100-meter dash last time I checked, as well as Maurice Green, who's won Olympic gold medal in the 100, as well as swept the 100 at the Worlds and the Olympics for like 4 straight years. They did 2 different challenges that I remember, one of which was Shaquille O'Neal racing against Tyson Gay in a 100 where Shaquille O'Neal had a head start, and Shaquille O'Neal actually pulled that out. And then you move on where they did I'm not making this up, it was a 4x50 meter relay. So they technically raced 200 meters, and they were doing like, I guess what would qualify as some bootleg version of a 4x4 handoff in between, because nobody really practiced. They brought in NFL players like Deshaun Jackson and other guys who were considered to be fast football players, all of that. But at the end of the day, they did the relay, Shaquille O'Neal ran, Tyson Gay ran. I believe Tyson Gay's crew nipped Shaquille O'Neal at the line. Maurice Green was with Shaq for the record, just to clarify, so he had some professional speed, but it was just a thing that went to TV that people watched, ha 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 ha, and it was done. Nobody remembers this moment, and it did not bring attention to track and field. For that matter, we saw track and field athletes go out there with non-track and field athletes, and the non-track and field athletes were way more recognizable than anybody else who was out there, at least to the casual fan, if we're gonna keep being honest. So please forgive me for not believing for even a moment that this gimmick, and yes, I'm gonna call it a gimmick, is actually going to bring any real attention to the sport of track and field. If all these other gimmicks didn't work, I don't think this one is going to have that impact. We can talk for a moment with any real clarity about what that race might actually be and what are the potential implications either direction, because only one of two things is actually going to happen. Either A, people are going to watch it, which let's just assume they actually are. The contract is going to get set up, it's going to be built as a large event. I don't really know how you make it an event because the race itself is apparently going to be incredibly brief, even more brief than a real track and field race. But at the end of it, only one of two options can actually go down. Either Noah Lyles is going to win, or Noah Lyles is going to lose. Because trust me, Tyreek Hill is not able to win that race. Noah Lyles is the Olympic gold medalist. It's a lose-lose from a competitive standpoint, at least as far as he's concerned. But Noah Lyles told us that he wants to be more than a track and field athlete. He wants to be a performer. He wants to be bigger than the sport, I guess you could say. And if that is true, then it makes a whole lot more sense now why he would agree to do this. Because Noah Lyles had been really good at self-promotion. His brand has continued to grow, and he's doing it by connecting with people who are outside of the track and field community. I'm not here to say whether that's a good thing or a bad thing for him to do. We're just talking about the sport itself, because that's what I care about. I actually love track and field, and I actually care about the sport, and I want what is best for it at every single level. And I don't see this moment as what's best for the sport. In the article, Noah Lyles is quoted as saying that he wants to break a world record, and that he might be able to do it on Tyreek Hill's head. Now, I don't know what world record he's talking about, but let's go there. I don't believe they're going to run a legitimate track and field distance. I've already said that. Because if they were, I'm pretty sure the race would have been set up by now. Tyreek Hill does not want to run a track and field race against Noah Lyles, because he's going to lose it. There is no evidence to suggest that either now, or even if we went all the way back to their high school years, because as fast as Tyreek Hill was, Noah Lyles was at the Olympic trials when he was finishing high school. So no, even back then, he still had Tyreek on lock. So when we say the phrase world record and the name Noah Lyles, let's be clear what we're actually talking about. Noah Lyles is a generational talent and is proving it with the medals he's put around his neck in this current era. But when it comes to world records, he doesn't have one in any standard outdoor track and field event. Not in the 100, not in the 200. He doesn't even have one in the 4x1, even though Team USA has more than enough talent to pull it off. If you move on from that, he doesn't have one in the 150 meter straight track. He doesn't have one in the 200 meter straight track, even though he has tried to take down, I think it was the 150 he really went after last year at some Adidas sponsored event. He's run indoors, and he's still basically a tenth of a second off of the 60 meter dash world record. But considering the 200 historically has been his best event. And Frankie Fredericks is the indoor 200 meter world record holder. Yes, I said Frankie Fredericks of Namibia, all the way back in 1996. Noah Lyles hasn't even taken down that world record. The record's only 19.9. I'm pretty sure Noah Lyles could do it if he wanted to. If Noah goes out there and wins at whatever distance they agree upon, all that really means to me is he did what he was supposed to do. To be honest with you, like 100% of honest, it almost feels like he's going out there to defend the sport of track and field, more than it is to draw attention to it. That's just my sentiment from the inside of the community, because he is supposed to win. But let us just pretend for a moment that there's even a realm of possibility that Noah Lyles loses this race. That would be tragic, because if you succeed at getting a whole bunch of people to pay attention to this moment, where the Olympic gold medalist in the 100 meter dash shows up to race somebody who is not a professional sprinter, and you lose. I'm gonna let your mind run with that about all the implications that has for the sport, at least for the sport of sprinting going forward. No matter how informed I believe that I am still just one man with an opinion. For that reason, I hope that Noah Lyles and his team know something that I do not know when it comes to this particular event, because I admit that track and field needs to bring more eyes to the sport, but what nobody seems to be able to agree upon is how we actually accomplish it. And when it comes to the gimmicks, where sprinters go out and race people who are not actual sprinters, or for that matter animals, we've tried that already, and up until now, almost every time that it happened, nobody really remembered that much after that race was over. And the only way that I see them remembering this one is if the outcome is not the way it's supposed to go. In the sport of track and field, confidence is everything, because when you win, that is just the moment when everybody else finds out what you already knew to be true, that fast is a lifestyle. Get your Fast is a Lifestyle track and field gear at scarecruiting.com/shop, or use the link in the description below. It's a huge support to me and this channel, so I can continue to make you more content like this. And remember, it is always greatly appreciated if you would please like and subscribe.